So I didn't watch Raw the last 2 weeks because I was driving you somewhere, and I just didn't give a shit the next week. But I heard they were good Raws. So this week, I'm like, Jeff's back. We're going to get together as a group. You, me, Dwayne sat around and watched Raw. And it was the drizzling shits.
You picked the wrong week.
I know. I heard the last 2 weeks were really good. What the hell happened here?
It's just one of these things. It's like, oh, the Schleg Daddy's still here for this week at least, so let's get one last Raw review. Then nobody else wanted to really show up to do the review. And frankly, I really can't blame them after watching this week's Raw. We're going to talk about the good stuff on this show because we'll get through that relatively quickly. Sadly, 3 hours, and we found a total of 2 things that we thought were really good about this week's Raw.
3 if you count the fact that I could hit the mute button.
Yeah, unfortunately we're not counting that, so we'll go with the 2. One is the actual build towards the Money in the Bank pay-per-view.
Yeah, that actually was decent tonight. I mean, at least they had some focus on the fact that there is a pay-per-view coming up.
Yeah, and, you know, we have several matches. I think it's at least 5 right now that are officially announced. I could be wrong. There could be another one added in that I'm forgetting. I think there is. So there might be 6 announced matches. But we have what's pretty close to a full card already announced for Money in the Bank. So that, in and of itself, is a good thing. Even though this, to us, was a very bad show and was very hard to sit through for 3 God-blessed hours, at least it had a purpose in mind. So sometimes that's a good thing. The other thing is if you're really excited, like we are at the moment, for the debut of the Wyatt family, apparently we're going to get it next week, and they made sure to emphasize that this was a really big deal and that this was going to mean something. They were talking about it all throughout the course
Exactly.
of the night.
There were 2 promos thrown in there. They repeated one at the end of the show. It was hyped up by the commentators. Vince is behind this.
You could tell. You could tell. I mean, because like you said, you had a couple of vignettes shown during the show. Then after the main event, you have the commentators sitting there, which rarely happens, where you have the commentators talking after the main event segment or the main event match, talking about, in large part, the Wyatt family is going to debut next week with the ending vignette to close out the show. So if you are a big fan of the Wyatt family, if you're looking forward to this, if you're anticipating this eagerly, the WWE has given you plenty of reasons to do so because, in my opinion, they've done a really, really good job of ramping up the excitement level, ramping up the anticipation, and building up towards this. Let's hope that it doesn't disappoint. Let's hope that it delivers, and let's hope they're bringing them in to do something next week in a big way, involving somebody big because, boy, they sure act like they're going to.
Exactly. I almost wish they would have debuted on this Raw. And I find it odd that they're bringing them in right before Money in the Bank. You'd think they'd bring them in after a pay-per-view, but stranger shit has happened. I mean, look at the Shield.
Let's look at it frankly. This week's Raw was bad enough. Maybe next week's show will actually need the Wyatt family to help us get through the 3 hours. We could have used it this week, no question. Is that it for the good? Brad Maddox, he was good.
Yeah, always good.
Yeah, always good. You want to talk at all about Alex Riley being on commentary on Superstars?
I think that is a fantastic idea. I think a guy like Alex Riley, who has the background of a father who worked for ESPN, it's a natural fit. He's been in the company. He knows the business. So why not put him on commentary, have him sitting there? I mean, with his background, he has more of a background with wrestling than, say, like a Michael Cole. So it's a natural fit for the guy.
Yeah, I mean, and you have some success with Miz doing commentary on Main Event, and you know, how appropriate is it? His former apprentice is doing commentary on Superstars. You know, it's called Superstars for a reason. Yeah, fuck that Main Event stuff.
Yeah.
A-Rye is commentating on Superstars. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it was that type of night for us with Raw. We're talking about our buddy, our pal, our fave, Alex Riley. And his commentating on Superstars. There's one other positive thing from this show, but it's not really appropriate for us to talk about it, frankly. We'll be back in a moment with the stuff that we didn't like on this week's Raw, which was...
Oh, boy, that's going to take a while.
It might. Of course, the highlight of the night, the star of the show, once again, was Mark motherfucking Henry. And all Smokey know is he better be winning that belt at Money in the Bank, WWE. You know what happened when you pissed Smokey the fuck off. So how about you do what you've done before and you give Smokey what he want because it's what the people want. You make more money in pay-per-view buys, and your television ratings go up. It's a very simple fucking equation. And yeah, you saw that, didn't you, John Cena? You saw that. Yeah, you flinched. That's 2 for flinching, bitch. Bottom line is, Mark Henry gonna fuck your ass up. Why? Because that's what he do. That's what he do. And I don't know about y'all, but that career retrospective, yeah, it was very touching. It moved me a little bit. And it wasn't just the gas either from the cheeseburgers. Yeah. Oh yeah. Hello, ladies.
There was one other thing that we didn't mention before that I kind of liked. The 6-man tag, and it's not just because Christian lost. It's because the Usos and Christian versus Shield actually was a pretty decent match.
Yes.
I like the fact that Dean Ambrose pinned Christian. The internet doesn't know what they're going to do, though, because they're like, we love Christian, we love Dean Ambrose. Ah! I mean, they were just like, we're getting this match. Ah! But, I mean, it's nice to see the heels get a win before pay-per-view, leading into it. I mean, that doesn't happen nowadays.
I just didn't choose to list this in the positives because, frankly, I'd like to see them do something different with the Shield, even a little bit. You don't have to do anything dramatically different, just a little bit. I know that's all I'm saying. I guess on that note, looking at the Punk and Axel versus Primetime Players match, this was one that, was probably better than I view it as, because by the time it was shown in that 2-hour main event slot, I was already starting to kind of mentally tune out Raw.
Yeah.
And, you've got the Primetime Players. They're trying to force them down us as heels when I think they should be baby faces.
The kids love them. They love the dance.
Yeah, it's just, and you look at Punk and Axel and how the storyline's playing out with Heyman. It's playing out very well. I give WWE credit. So far, so good on this. It's just, I didn't care that much tonight. And it wasn't anything to do with this particular segment because I didn't think it was a bad segment. And the way it was done was good. It was just, 2 hours of primarily crap. When something decent comes along, you're kind of like, I don't care. There are a couple other things that happened on the show that we won't talk about because we just really didn't care one way or another.
It wasn't good, it wasn't bad, it was just there.
And we'll talk about the shit now. The first thing, Randy Orton versus Kane, because we've never ever seen this match ever before.
Well, never with Daniel Bryan as the referee.
I guess this is true in theory, but...
And that's where the main story is anyways. The match was alright, it was typical Kane versus Randy Orton, so...
But this is all, again, this match was a plot device to apparently start the process of advancing a Daniel Bryan heel turn.
Which is dumb, because there's only one reason they're doing it.
To serve him up as John Cena's jobber bitch later this year, period.
Just like Ryback.
And, you look at this, and we'll get to Ryback in a second, because that was terrible too. But, when you look at Daniel Bryan, again, you're talking about a guy that in today's business, it's very hard to find baby faces that most of the crowd can get behind. And Daniel Bryan, he's doing well in merch sales. He's creating an experience for the live audience, the people that are actually going to the shows. So, he's creating an experience and entertaining the people that are showing up. Is he a great ratings draw at this point? No. And Delexman, go ahead and say, hey, how dare you say that there are times... I've explained it to you before and other people before, and I'll do it again, but I'm not going to do it here. Maybe at some point he can become a ratings draw, but what's not going to help him in that category is the fucking flopping of his characters all the time. Face to heel, to face to heel, for no fucking reason. It's much easier to create heels. When in doubt, heel them out. When you've got a guy that's getting over that people like, you don't turn them heel for dumb dick reasons. See somebody like Ryback. You keep them babyface.
Exactly, because eventually when you have a heel that people want to root for, CM Punk, Ziggler, you got to turn them face because the people are going against you anyways. They're going to cheer for him because they're sick of you shoving them down your throat as a heel. They want him as a face. They want to root for these guys.
Yeah, I mean that's why they transitioned Ziggler to a face. That's why they're transitioning Punk to a baby face, is because the shit's not working the way they were trying to do it. So now we've got a character in Daniel Bryan that is working the way it's being presented. So we're going to change it up for no dumb dick reason other than to do what? At SummerSlam, Night of Champions, whatever the fuck. Speaking of John Cena's jobber bitches, Ryback and Miz. Oof. This match here, you had Jericho on commentary. I don't give a fuck about Ryback and Jericho at the pay-per-view. I don't. This match was
Why
dumb.
should you?
Yeah, this match was dumb. You have Ryback, who should be a monster face, who they're having be kind of a cowardly heel now, and that even played out in the match. You've got Miz, who's kind of a natural heel. So, of course, they made him into a bland vanilla babyface. And you've got Jericho. They're trying to make out to be a great, big fucking legend. He keeps losing all the fucking time. He's not a legend anymore.
Oh, he beat Fandango.
In name only. In name only.
He beat Fandango at WrestleMania, or at Extreme Rules.
Right. I mean,
but he already lost him at WrestleMania, and before that, I don't think he's really had a good win.
Yeah, it's been a long time. So, the bottom line is this match ended in a very stupid way. Not only did Ryback kind of call off and quit the match, and then Jericho's just got to come in for the Cobra. Get the fuck out of here. Speaking of bad, the Divas crap. Caitlyn versus Alicia Fox. Bad. The segment with AJ Lee sitting there. She's calling Caitlyn trash, so why is she calling her trash? Is she showing a picture of her being fat?
I don't know. And that picture, I mean, get somebody better on Photoshop.
Get somebody better for this heel gimmick than AJ Lee. She needs to be a babyface. Having people perform in the right roles in the right spots is critically important. It is, and AJ Lee just doesn't work. But the worst thing of all was that backstage diva segment. Oh my god!
Yeah, the Bellas and a whole bunch of divas and all the remote. There was series on E.
All the McMahon shit was pretty bad this week, too. All to promote yet another job evaluation for Vicky Guerrero next week on Raw. Ooh.
But the Maddox was there.
He was. Yes, but sadly, he has the Maddox, so we're trying to remove him from this because all the McMahon crap is kind of done.
I mean, even Vince was contradicting himself, yelling at Vicky for giving us the match for free when you should be billing towards the paper. How many times have you done that, Vince?
Yeah. And speaking of crap, the main event.
Oh, God.
Typical WWE Raw main event. John Cena versus Alberto Del Rio. Now, to be fair to the company, they did do a good job of building up throughout the whole course of the show, showing the different segments of WWE champions and World Heavyweight champions, which is great and all, except for the fact that they're basically, you see a picture of people like Hulk Hogan and Stone Cold Steve Austin and Bruno Sammartino and Buddy Rogers and Mr. Bob Backlund, and then they show you John Cena. They're trying to basically plant that seed that he's in this category.
No, he isn't.
You got Alberto Del Rio, and they're showing pictures of Booker T and guys like Lou Thez and Harley Race and Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes. And then there's freaking Alberto Del Rio. Give me a freaking break.
Yeah.
As far as this match goes, it was typical John Cena, Alberto Del Rio crap. Mark Henry coming out. You're thinking, oh, okay, he's going to help Alberto Del Rio get the
But then you're like, wait, I'm watching a match with John Cena.
And why am I laughing? Your hero, Dolph Ziggler. He's a baby face now.
He is on John Cena's side, helping John Cena get victories.
Oh, that means they might have a tag match next week.
Oh, the internet's going to love that one.
So Ziggler helps Cena win.
The end was good, though, with Mark Henry.
Yeah, like Smokey brought up.
Yeah.
The 2 for flinching.
Exactly.
How come Mark Henry didn't get to give Cena a couple for flinching? He should have. That's the rule.
Yeah, that's the rule.
Yeah. When we're talking about stuff like this, in terms of highlights, Mark Henry was a highlight. We just have to let the cat talk about it. The build-up to the Wyatt family and some of the build-up to the pay-per-view itself was good. Everything else was good.
This is a very forgettable Raw. It's kind of sad this last Raw we get to watch together.
It really is, because this was, would have been nice after 2 weeks of decent Raws to have another one and go out strong and do a bunch of fun stuff for the review, but just had no desire to, because frankly this was not a good Raw. It's been fun doing these reviews with all the other guys. Wish Tony and Dwayne and Mark were here to do this, especially Tony, because he's meant a lot to this show, especially as a founding father who came up with the name. But thanks for all of you guys that have supported us doing this group thing. You'll be getting more OTR Essential videos. It's primarily just going to be me solo for the time being, but we'll figure out ways to get some of the other guys involved in the meantime.
And Dwayne and I, Metal D, we're going to be doing our show after the credit show, and
it's in the description.
We're going to have a guest for at least 2 reviews.
Yes. But for this review, this is the end.